Imagine reaching into your pocket for a simple penny and pulling out a life-changing treasure worth over $1 million. Sounds impossible, right? Yet collectors across the country are waking up to the truth that one of the rarest, most shocking discoveries in modern coin history is hiding in plain sight. And tonight, you're about to learn the secret behind the 1979 D. Lincoln penny that has stunned even the most seasoned experts. It all starts with a mistake. Not the kind you see with the naked eye, not some dramatic double strike or dramatic misprint splashed across the coin's surface. No, this one is quieter, subtler, almost invisible, and because of that, far more dangerous. The U.S. Mint in 1979 was under intense pressure to keep up with the growing demand for circulation coins. Billions were pumped out. Machines ran nonstop. And somewhere in that chaos, deep in the Denver Mint, an accident occurred that no one noticed until decades later when one tiny copper coin resurfaced and shattered the price charts. Imagine holding a penny that looks completely ordinary. No shine, no dramatic errors. Just the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. But inside that coin is a flaw so rare, so unexpected, that it transformed this everyday object into a fortune. Collectors now whisper about this penny like it's a myth, a rumor, a ghost story told at coin shows. But it's real. One was confirmed, then another. And the moment the news broke, the entire coin market jolted awake. Now here's where the story tightens. Because this rare 1979 D penny isn't valuable simply because it's old. It's valuable because it's not what it appears to be. The Denver Mint was supposed to produce zinc-based pennies with a copper coating later in the 1980s. But for reasons still debated, a minting test, a die mistake, a batch of leftover metal, a tiny number of 1979 D pennies were struck on the wrong planchet. A planchet meant for a totally different coin. That tiny slip changed everything. But let me reset your attention for a moment. I want you to imagine the feeling. You're flipping through pocket change at the kitchen table. Maybe you do it for fun. Maybe you've been a collector for years. Maybe you're just curious. You slide aside a few dull coins, and then you see it. A penny that feels just a little different. A little heavier. Your heart picks up pace because you know that people have sold these rare pennies for $1 million or more. And suddenly you realize, this could be your moment. Oh, how do you tell if your 1979 D penny is the jackpot? Here's what you need to know. First, check the weight. A regular 1979 penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. But this rare wrong planchet strike can weigh noticeably different. Some weigh lighter, some heavier. If the weight seems off even slightly, you could be holding a rare mint error. Next, check the edges. A penny struck on the wrong metal often has slightly sharper or smoother rim details, almost like the design doesn't perfectly fit the coin. It's subtle, but once you know what to look for, you can't unsee it. And most importantly, the sound test. It sounds strange, but true collectors know. Tap it lightly on a table and listen. A normal copper penny has a soft clink. These rare planchet pennies sometimes have a higher or lower pitch because of the metal composition. It's a tiny detail, but experts swear by it. But let me reset your attention again, because this is where the story takes a dramatic turn. One of these rare pennies surfaced when a man in Colorado was going through a coffee can of old change left behind by his father. He almost threw them away. Then something about a single penny felt strange. He waited. He checked it. And his world changed. That penny went on to sell for an amount that stunned even the auction house. Over $1 million. That is not fiction. That is not a rumor. That is the power of a microscopic mint error. And here's the inspirational part most collectors never hear. The rarest coins aren't always old. They're not always flashy. They're not always the ones that look different. Sometimes the coin that changes your life looks painfully ordinary. Plain, common, forgettable. But you only need one. One coin to prove that fortune favors the curious. One coin to show you that history hides treasures in the smallest places. Another attention reset, because I want this moment to land. Billions of pennies were minted in 1979. Billions. But only a handful of these rare, Denver-minted wrong planchet pennies are believed to exist. They are still out there. They were spent. They were dropped. Scooped up. Thrown into drawers. You could walk into a gas station today and get one in your change without realizing it. Imagine the adrenaline when you check that pocket change tonight and your mind asks the question, what if this is the one? Unusual weight, strange ring, odd edges, anything that feels off. Don't underestimate your instincts. Coin collectors aged 30 to 70 across the country have already discovered treasures that experts didn't even believe existed 10 years ago. In the 1979, penny has become one of the most exciting whispers in numismatics because it's proof that even modern coins can explode in value. It's proof that million-dollar finds aren't locked away in museums. They're hiding in homes, pockets, glove compartments, and dusty jars. And here's one more reset, because this moment right here is where collectors either tune out or lean in. You are now one of the few people who knows the full story. You know the backstory. You know the signs. You know the weight, the edges, the sound. You have everything you need to uncover one of the rarest modern penny treasures ever created. But only if you look. Only if you check your change. Only if you trust that incredible things can come from the most ordinary places. So when you empty your pockets tonight, slow down. When you open that drawer full of old coins, take a breath. The rare 1979 penny doesn't announce itself. It waits, quiet, unnoticed, until someone with just a little curiosity decides to take a closer look. You're holding a penny, just a regular 2021 Lincoln penny, and without even knowing it, you're staring at a life-changing secret worth $1.1 million. Yes, a single cent, a coin you've probably brushed past 1,000 times, could be the key to a story you'll be telling for the rest of your life. And the truly terrifying part? Most people who've held this coin never knew what slipped through their fingers. Let me take you back for a moment. The year is 2021. Denver is striking billions of coins. Everything is routine. Everything is predictable, except for one tiny moment. One slip, one machine, one microscopic deviation so rare that the people in the mint had no clue it happened. A flaw born in complete silence. A flaw that transformed a 1-cent coin into a million-dollar treasure. And yet today, that treasure is still out there, blending in perfectly with billions of normal pennies. Now listen closely, because this is where the story turns from mystery to legend. Collectors talk about this coin like a ghost sighting. Some swear they've held one, but didn't recognize it in time. Others claim a friend of a friend sold one quietly to a private collector. Every rumor adds a layer of suspense, and every rumor ends the same way. Someone discovers they missed the most valuable penny of their lifetime. Every minute, thousands of people in this country pick up a penny and toss it aside. But the collectors who pay attention, they know exactly what to look for. So let's break this open before another million-dollar penny slides right past you. First, reset. Focus here. The key to identifying the rare 2021 is the error. This coin isn't valuable because it's old. It's not valuable because it's made of anything special. It's valuable because of a minting mistake so dramatic, so unexpected, that experts compare it to finding a fingerprint on a ghost. The error appears on the obverse, right on Lincoln's portrait. The doubling on the date is bold, with the 2021 showing distortion thick enough to catch with the naked eye if the lighting hits right. The D-mint mark is slightly punched northwest. Not to the side, not upward, northwest. If it's anywhere else, it's not the one dot, but here's the detail that makes hearts stop. The rim on some of these coins is misaligned by a fraction, not enough to ruin the strike, but enough that you can feel it when you run your finger across the edge. A tiny raised lip, like the coin is whispering that it's different, but only to the people who know how to listen. Another attention reset. Stay with me. The emotional part of this story doesn't come from the money. It comes from what this penny represents. Think about it. A coin that costs 1 cent to make somehow slips through the cracks of a massive minting operation and becomes a million-dollar anomaly. It's the classic underdog story, a coin that no one believed in suddenly becoming the centerpiece of a collector's dream. That contrast hits you in the gut. It makes you rethink every coin you've ever ignored. And here's where things get even more mysterious. When collectors first discovered this rare penny, no one knew how many were made. Some said thousands. Some said maybe a dozen. And then, after the first authenticated sale, a private transaction reportedly over $1 million, the number of sightings dropped to almost nothing. A few coins appeared online for a moment, then vanished. Some were bought instantly. Others may have been fakes. But the original, undeniable, certified examples? They are almost never seen in public. It's as if they went underground. Another reset. Don't drift. You need to know how to find one. Grab every 2021 D penny you have and do 3 checks. 1. Examine the date. If the digits look doubled, especially the 2 or the 1, your heart should already be pounding. 2. Check the mint mark. If that D is tilted or shifted northwest, you're in rare territory. 3. Glide your fingertip around the rim. If it feels uneven or slightly lifted in one section, you may be holding a mistake the mint never intended to release. Collectors in their 30s, 50s, even 70s have found valuable coins in jars, drawers, old coffee cans, and glove compartments. And every time, it starts the same way. They say, "I wasn't even looking for anything special. I just happened to notice something strange." That's it. That's the moment where an ordinary life touches an extraordinary discovery. Here's another reset. Imagine someone somewhere right now walking around with this exact coin in their pocket, completely unaware they're carrying a fortune the size of a house. Imagine someone tossing it into a change jar like it's nothing. Imagine how many people already held the $1,000,000 penny, shrugged, and let it slip through their fingers. That thought alone should give you chills, and maybe, just maybe, you're not one of those people. Because you're here, you're listening, you're learning the signs. You're preparing yourself for that moment every collector dreams of. The truth is, treasure stories don't start with treasure hunters. They start with regular people who paid attention at the right time. And when you find a coin like this, it doesn't just change your wallet. It changes the way you look at every future coin you pick up. Suddenly, every cent becomes a question. Every penny becomes a possibility. Every moment becomes a chance to discover the unexpected. And if this coin teaches us anything, it's that the smallest things in life, the ones we overlook, the ones we ignore, can turn out to be worth more than we ever imagined. $1,000,000 more. So before you walk away today, before you set down your phone or close your hands, take one last look at the pennies sitting around you. In your car, on your dresser, in that old cup you use for spare change. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a coin you've handled 1,000 times, and realizing it's the very same 1971 no mint mark Lincoln penny quietly turning ordinary people into millionaires overnight. A coin so unassuming, so simple, that most collectors have already checked their pockets for it and still missed it. Today, you're going to hear the story of how one of the most common pennies in American history became one of the most valuable. And by the end, you'll know exactly how to spot one yourself. Picture this. A small-town collector walks into a coin shop carrying a jar of pocket change he'd nearly thrown out. Inside that jar was a single 1971 penny. No mint mark, just another brown coin among hundreds. The shop owner rolled his eyes until he saw something hiding in the coin's details that made him freeze mid-breath. A moment later, he whispered, "Do you have any idea what you're holding?" That penny changed a family's entire life. And it wasn't the first time it happened, because this mysterious coin, this simple Lincoln cent from 1971, has a backstory that's baffled even veteran collectors. Most people think mint errors are obvious, dramatic, impossible to miss. But the rarest mistakes hide in plain sight, on coins you've handled every day, with details so subtle most eyes just glide right past them. Now let me reset your attention for a moment. Think about all the pennies you've tossed into glove compartments, coin jars, cup holders. Think about how many 1971 pennies you've held without a second thought. Statistically, you've absolutely touched one before. The question is, was it the right one? The rarer 1971 pennies didn't come from some dramatic mechanical failure. They were struck during a period when the mint was juggling new die pairings, old die refurbishments, and a desperate attempt to speed up production. The result was a tiny handful of coins where the design didn't quite match the metal. The details came out sharper than they were supposed to. The lettering looked strangely crisp. Lincoln's portrait carried a level of definition that almost didn't belong on a coin from that year. Collectors call these wrong die strikes, but they're more than that. They're accidents of timing, moments when one die should have been retired but wasn't, or when a proof-quality die found itself used on regular circulation blanks. A mistake that slipped through the shadows of the minting floor. A mistake nobody noticed until decades later. And that's why it's worth over $1,000,000 today. But I want you to imagine something else. Imagine a man in his 60s digging through his childhood coin folder one evening. He flips through pages he hasn't touched since the Carter administration, and tucked into the 1971 slot is a penny he pulled from a bank roll the first week he opened his first job. The same job he worked 40 hours a week, while dreaming of a better life he hoped would come someday. That penny ended up paying for his retirement. One coin, one moment, one life-changing surprise hiding in a cardboard folder for 50 years. That's the power of this coin. Now let's reset again. You're listening to this right now for one reason. You want to know how to tell if you have one. The suspense is fun, but let's get practical. Here's exactly what to look for on a 1971 no mint mark Lincoln penny if you're hoping to find the $1 million version. First, look at the word Liberty. On the rare version, the letters are unusually sharp. The vertical stroke of the L should be crisp, the B should be bold and not mushy or soft around the edges, and the E and R should look almost proof-like. If the lettering looks average or slightly worn even when the coin is in good shape, that's not the one. But if the letters seem unusually clean and almost sculpted, you might be staring at something special. Next, look closely at Lincoln's hair. The rare die shows individual hair strands that look like they were carved with a razor. On normal 1971 pennies, the hair blends together. On the rare ones, you can see texture that jumps out instantly, even with the naked eye. Now check the date. The digits on the rare version have a sharp, squared-off appearance, especially the ones. If the edges of the numbers look rounded, it's normal. If the numbers look like they were sliced from steel, pay attention. Finally, flip the coin over. Look at the Lincoln Memorial. The lines between the columns should be bold, deep, and very distinct. Look especially at the tiny statue of Lincoln inside. On rare strikes, he's much more defined. If you see these details, you don't just have a nice penny. You may very well have one of the most sought-after Lincoln cents in existence, a coin that has already sold for over $1 million and could easily reach even higher as more collectors learn about it. Now let me reset your attention one more time. Think about how many coins you've already dismissed. Think about the handfuls of change you've dropped into jars without ever checking. Think about the pennies sitting inside old drawers, coin cups, backpacks, pockets of jeans you haven't worn since 1994. Any one of them could be the one. The mystery behind this coin only adds to the excitement. Some believe it came from a test run using an unapproved die. Others think it was a proof die accidentally used on a circulation press. And a few experts whisper that fewer than a dozen have been found in top condition. Only a tiny fraction of the billions minted that year. But the truth is, nobody knows for sure. And that uncertainty, that shadowy gap in mint records, makes collectors even more obsessed. Because a coin like this isn't just rare. It's unpredictable. It's thrilling. It can show up anywhere, anytime, in the most ordinary places. A gas station counter, a vending machine, a coin roll from your bank, or in your own home, hiding right where you left it years ago. Let's reset again. Imagine holding a penny, feeling its weight, turning it under the light, and realizing the details match the ones I just described. Imagine the shock, the disbelief. The moment your heart starts pounding because you've just pulled one of the greatest numismatic treasures of the last century straight out of everyday change. Now imagine the value. Not $1,000, not $10,000, not even $100,000. We're talking $1 million territory. And not just once. This coin has already proven it can break seven figures and shake the market in ways nobody expected. So here's what I want you to do after this video. Grab every penny you have, every jar, every drawer, every forgotten cup holder in your car. Look for 1971. No mint mark. Use your eyes. Look for sharp lettering, razor details, crisp date, and bold lines. Don't rush. The difference between normal and extraordinary is small, but when you see it, trust me, you'll know. Because in the world of coin collecting, the most valuable treasures are never the ones that scream for attention. They're the quiet ones. The ordinary ones, the ones everyone else overlooked. And that's why the story of this penny matters. Because it shows that even the most unassuming object can change everything. That life-changing discoveries don't always come in gold bars or ancient relics. Sometimes they come disguised as the most common coin in America. You're digging through a handful of pocket change without thinking twice, and suddenly you realize that one ordinary-looking coin, a simple brown Lincoln penny, could be worth $1.3 million. Not in a museum, not behind armored glass, not in some billionaire's vault, but right there, sitting in the palm of your hand. And the shocking part is that this exact coin has already slipped through millions of hands without anyone noticing. That's the world of the 1978 D. Lincoln penny, a coin that looks so normal, yet carries a mystery nobody saw coming. People talk about hidden treasure like it's some fairy tale, but this story doesn't begin with pirates or sunken ships. It begins with a routine day at the Denver Mint in 1978, a day that was supposed to be just like every other day. Machines humming, copper blanks pouring through chutes, presses slamming down thousands of times per minute. Nothing unusual, but somewhere in the middle of that mechanical thunderstorm, something went wrong. Or maybe something went right, depending on how you look at it. Because a tiny, almost invisible minting error occurred, and that one mistake created a coin that collectors today are still hunting like a ghost nobody can quite catch. Before we get to the treasure itself, think about this. Most people have never even considered that a penny from the late 70s could have any special value. They see the 1978 date and think it's too modern, too common, too boring. They toss it back into a jar, never knowing that one of the rarest mint errors in modern American coinage history might be staring right at them. And the truth is, you could have seen this coin before and not even realized it. That's what makes this so thrilling and, honestly, a little unnerving. Let's reset your attention here, because this next part is where the mystery deepens. Somewhere in 1978, at the Denver Mint, a small batch of pennies was struck off-center, just enough to make them rare, but not enough for the error to be obvious at first glance. Combine that with a subtle die misalignment and a slightly doubled mint mark, and suddenly you have the kind of rarity that sends collectors into bidding wars. The kind that pushes values into the million-dollar territory. These weren't dramatic errors that jump off the coin. No, these were quiet errors. Silent errors. The kind that hide in plain sight for 40 years. Now imagine how many people toss these into change jars, into vending machines, into tip jars, into glove compartments. Imagine how many hands they pass through, completely unnoticed. That's what makes this coin feel almost like a ghost story wrapped inside a copper shell. It's there, but nobody sees it until it's too late. Here's the emotional twist. People have literally cleaned out their childhood piggy banks and found treasures they never imagined. One collector said he burst into tears when he realized he'd been carrying a six-figure coin in his wallet for weeks without knowing it. And if that can happen to him, it can happen to anyone watching this right now. Let's reset again, because the most important part is coming up. How to identify the million-dollar 1978 D penny. First, look at the mint mark. You're searching for a tiny but distinctive doubling on the D. Not dramatic doubling, subtle. Like the D has a faint shadow behind it, almost like it's blurred. Next, check the overall strike. The valuable ones have a slightly off-center alignment, usually 1 to 3%. Again, it's not huge, just enough that the rim looks a little thicker on one side than the other. Then look for crisp details. The valuable error coins were struck harder than usual in the misaligned setup, so Lincoln's beard, hair, and coat often look sharper than normal coins from that year. And finally, color matters. The rarest examples tend to have a smooth, reddish-brown luster that survived because, for whatever reason, these coins didn't circulate long before being tucked away. Every single one of those details needs to come together for the big money. One error alone is interesting. 2 errors is exciting. But the winning combination, subtle doubling, off-center strike, die alignment distortion, and a strong strike. That's what puts the legendary $1.3 million price tag on the table. Let's reset once more, because the story gets even more dramatic. Collectors who chase this coin describe it like hunting a myth. They get tips, hints, rumors. Someone claims they saw one. Someone claims their cousin's neighbor found one. Someone swears they spotted one at a flea market but couldn't buy it in time. The stories never stop, and each one fuels the chase. And the most suspenseful part is that nobody actually knows how many of these coins escaped the mint. It could be a dozen. It could be 3. It could be just 1. The Denver Mint never admitted the error publicly. They never documented it. It's as if the whole mystery was swept under the rug and left for collectors to uncover decades later. Think about this for a moment. How many times have you dumped your coins onto a counter and pushed the pennies aside without looking? How many coffee purchases? How many grocery store runs? How many times have you given someone change and unknowingly tossed away what could have been a life-changing find? That's the emotional punch of this story. The idea that $1 million opportunity could have already passed through your hands without you ever knowing it. But let's reset again, because now we connect the mystery with the inspiration. The beauty of coin collecting, the real heart of it, is that anyone, absolutely anyone, can hit the jackpot. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to be an expert. All you need is curiosity and the willingness to look a little closer than everyone else. Because the universe hides treasure in plain sight for the people who bother to search. And this 1978 D penny is proof of that. There's something incredibly motivating about knowing that a tiny copper coin, the kind everyone ignores, could secretly be worth well over $1 million. It's a reminder that the world is full of surprises, full of hidden value, full of second chances. And the people who find these coins, they're not lucky. They're prepared to check your drawers. Check your jars. Check your glove box, your pockets, your old coin rolls, the jars in your parents' basement, the coffee tin your grandfather kept on the shelf. Look at every 1978 D penny you come across like you're staring into the face of possibility. Imagine opening your change jar, the same one you toss pennies into without thinking, and staring at a coin so valuable it could rewrite your entire life. Not a gold coin, not a rare double eagle, just a simple 1968 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. A coin so ordinary, so invisible, that millions of people have handled one and never realized they were holding a life-changing discovery. But one tiny detail separates the common from the legendary. And that tiny detail is what turns this penny into $1 million miracle hiding in plain sight. For the next 20 minutes, stay with me, because what you're about to learn has shocked seasoned collectors, stunned coin dealers, and ignited one of the most fascinating mysteries in modern numismatics. And the craziest part? Anyone watching this right now could unknowingly own one. Let's rewind to the late 1960s. America was deep in cultural change. The mint was under pressure, production was rushed, and quality control wasn't always perfect. Hidden in those chaotic years was a mistake so subtle, so rare, and so impossible to duplicate that only a handful of collectors even realized it existed. While most 1968 pennies proudly carry the little D for Denver or S for San Francisco, a very small number slipped through with absolutely no mint mark at all. Not removed, not rubbed off, simply never struck. Why is that important? Because a genuine no mint mark 1968 penny from the production facilities that were supposed to mark every coin should not exist. And when something shouldn't exist, collectors go crazy for it. That's where the $1 million comes in. When authentication is confirmed, when the surfaces are pristine, when the mistake is unmistakable, the value shoots into the stratosphere. That I want you to picture this. A man in Ohio, back in the early 2000s, was sorting coins with his grandson. Just a normal night. No excitement. No big expectations. But he pulls a penny aside and says, "Look at this. Something's off." They take it into a local shop thinking maybe it's worth $5. The room goes silent. The dealer takes off his glasses, stares, then stares again. He calls another expert. Then another. The penny was real. A genuine 1968 no mint mark. He didn't just find a rare coin. He found the kind of discovery that changes a family's future. Every minute or two, I want you to reset your focus, because details matter here. If you drift off for even a moment, you might miss the exact thing that turns a regular penny into $1 million life changer. Here's how to check yours. And this part is absolutely crucial. Step 1. Look at the mint mark area under the date, right below the 1968. Almost all pennies from that year show a small D or S. But the rare variant? Absolutely nothing. Not a faint mark. Not a shadow. Not a ghost outline. It should look perfectly clean and flat, as if the mint mark was never intended at all. Step 2. The surfaces need to be sharp. Weak strikes or worn metal can trick your eyes. A genuine no mint mark error will still have crisp details in Lincoln's beard, hair, and coat, meaning the die just never had a mint mark to strike. Step 3. Watch for altered coins. Some people physically remove the mint mark, but this leaves scars. If you see bumps, tooling marks, tiny distortions, or rough patches, walk away. A real 1968 no mint mark penny has smooth metal where the mint mark should be. Every couple of minutes, I need to pull your attention back, because the next fact is something most collectors don't even believe when they first hear it. The reason this coin reaches over $1 million comes down to impossibility. This coin should not exist at all. The mint mark wasn't optional in 1968. It was required. So for a coin to come out without one, it requires a dime mix-up, a machine error, and a chain of events so unlikely it borders on unbelievable. Think about how many hands these coins pass through. Cashiers, drivers, soldiers, students, parents buying groceries. Not one of them knew they were handing over something incredibly rare. $1 million sitting on a countertop. $1 million spent on candy, gas, gum, bills, without anyone realizing the truth. The emotional side of this story hits collectors in a place few coins can. Because this isn't a treasure hidden in a museum or locked behind glass. This is a coin that could be anywhere. In a pickle jar, in your glove box, in a forgotten dresser drawer you haven't opened since the 90s that now reset your attention again. This next point matters more than anything else I've said. That a real 1968 no-mint mark penny is not just rare, it's nearly mythical. Authentication is key. If you ever find one, do not clean it, do not rub it, do not wash it, do not polish it. Cleaning $1 million coin can destroy its value faster than dropping it onto concrete. Handle it by the edges only, place it in a soft holder, and get it examined by a reputable grading service immediately. Collectors between 30 and 70 appreciate stories of survival, items that slipped through time untouched. This coin is the perfect example. It traveled decades through circulation, hiding, waiting, surviving pockets, wallets, storms, moves, coin machines, and still came out whole. Every scratch tells a story. Every dent marks another moment in the journey of a coin that was never supposed to exist. Now take a breath, refocus again. Imagine cashing out a jar of coins and accidentally handing over $1 million penny without ever knowing. Imagine the shock of realizing you owned it once and didn't notice. That thought alone drives collectors crazy. It fuels the hunt. It keeps people checking every penny they touch. Because the next one found could very well be yours. That we're 20 minutes into a mystery that has captivated experts for decades. And the lesson is simple. Treasure isn't always gold, silver, or ancient artifacts. Sometimes treasure is copper, small, worn, and so ordinary that the world walks right past it, and now you know what to look for. No mint mark. Sharp details. Smooth metal. No signs of tampering. A mysterious survivor of mint history. A coin that could bring you not just excitement, not just bragging rights, but a payout so life-changing it barely feels real. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into a dusty drawer, and discovering that the old, beat-up penny you've ignored for decades is secretly worth $1.5 million. Not a typo, not a fantasy, a real possibility hiding in the shadows of American pocket change. And today, we're diving into one of the most mysterious, misunderstood, and shockingly valuable coins ever minted. The 1941 no-mint Mark Wheat Lincoln penny. Now let me drop you straight into the intrigue. Picture this. A man in Ohio walks into a small coin shop with a jar of pennies he inherited from his grandfather. Nothing special, just a jar you and I would have walked right past. The shop owner dumps them out, casually starts sorting, and then everything freezes. His hand stops. He leans in, and he whispers, almost like he's afraid someone will overhear. You have no idea what you just brought in. That jar held a 1941 penny with an error so rare, so bizarre, that it sent shockwaves through the collecting world. A coin that experts didn't even think existed until that day. A coin collectors now believe could command well over $1.5 million at auction. And the crazy part? There are more out there. Let's reset your attention for a second, because what I'm about to tell you is the part most people miss. The 1941 no-mint mark penny is common, extremely common. But within that mountain of ordinary coins, a microscopic handful were struck with a minting flaw so dramatic, so unmistakable, that they transformed a simple copper cent into a treasure. That's why this story is so incredible. The rarest things in life don't always shine. Some of them hide under fingerprints, pocket scratches, and decades of dust. Before we get into the details, let me take you back to the mysterious origins of this coin. It's 1941. America is on the edge of World War II. The mint is pushing more coins out than ever before, machines running day and night. Mistakes were inevitable, but what happened to these particular pennies was not. Somewhere along the production line in Philadelphia, A die was misaligned. Some experts claim it was worn down, others think it was accidentally replaced with one intended for testing. But what we do know is this. It left behind a coin with a doubled design, so sharp you can see the error with the naked eye. Not a fuzzy doubling, not a trick of the light. A dramatic, bold, unmistakable doubling on the date and the word liberty. One small slip in a chaotic year created one of the most valuable Lincoln cents ever discovered. And here's where things get even stranger. Not all of these error pennies made it into circulation, but some did. People used them to buy gum, newspapers, maybe even a movie ticket. The fact that one ended up in a jar in a random attic means others could be sitting quietly in homes across America. Collectors call this particular variety the Holy Grail of 1941 cents because it isn't just rare. It's almost mythical. Let's reset again here, because I want your full focus for the identification steps. If you've got a 1941 penny with no mint mark, don't assume it's ordinary. Here's how to check whether you're holding a $1 million mistake. Step 1. Look at the date, specifically the digits 1 and 9. On the rare double die version, the doubling is dramatic. You won't need a microscope. The numbers appear shadowed, stretched, almost like a ghosted second date is sitting right underneath the main 1. Step 2. Look at the word liberty. The L and B show the strongest doubling. If those letters look thicker than normal, or like they're overlapping, that's your second major clue. Step 3. Lincoln's profile. The doubling sometimes carries into the bow of his tie and the lower edge of his jawline. It's subtle there, but if the date and liberty are doubled, this fits the pattern. Step 4. Condition matters, but here's the magic with this specific error. Because it's so extreme, even well-worn examples could cross into 6 or 7-figure territory. Top-grade examples are what push into the $1 million range, but lower-grade finds can still change someone's life. Now let's reset your attention again, because I want to paint a picture. Imagine flipping through a handful of 1941 pennies you've collected over the years. You've looked at them before. You've probably dismissed them. They're everywhere. They're so common, you can still find them in pocket change today. But now, with this knowledge, one of them suddenly looks different. The date looks doubled. Your pulse jumps. Your hands start to shake a little. Because now you understand something most people never learn. The rarest discoveries are hiding where everyone stops looking. Let me share a quick emotional moment that really drives this home. A collector once said that finding a rare penny is like being chosen by history. You didn't mint it. You didn't design it. You didn't even know it existed. Yet somehow it traveled through decades, through thousands of hands, and ended up with you. Coins like this survive wars, recessions, floods, estate sales, coin jars, and kids' piggy banks. When you find one, you're not just finding a coin. You're catching a piece of American life that almost vanished. Reset again. Because I want to be very clear, collectors will pay unbelievable money for the right 1941 doubled die. Life-changing money. $1 million money. And the reason is simple: rarity plus story. This coin has both. It isn't just rare, it's surrounded by mystery. Even today, experts argue about how many exist. Some claim less than 10. Others think fewer than 5. Some believe there may be undiscovered examples sitting in private collections, waiting for someone who finally knows what to look for. So here's what I want you to do the moment this video ends. Go find your change jars, your old coin albums, that coffee tin your grandfather kept in the shed. Every last place a penny could be hiding. Pull out every 1941 penny you own. You never know which one might carry that historic doubling. And remember, this isn't a fantasy. This isn't one of those exaggerated rumors the internet loves to spread. This is real, confirmed, documented, auctioned. A coin that ordinary Americans have literally held in their hands without knowing what they possessed. Let me reset your attention one final time with a thought that might send a chill down your spine. Somewhere in America, right now, there is a person who has one of these pennies sitting in a drawer, and they still haven't found it. They don't know it's worth a fortune. They don't know collectors would battle for it. They don't know their life could change with one glance at the date and one look at the word liberty.